Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 22 video where today I'm going to be sharing with you a whole range of tips and tricks and little things that I would like to do before I go into FUT Champs to hopefully help you guys get more wins, be more successful and just have a better time in FUT Champions. Obviously, we all want to win as many games as possible in FUT Champions. It's all about winning. It's all about getting the best rewards we can possibly get, making our squad better, and just having a more fun time. Of course, if we win, we're going to have more fun playing the game. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a whole bunch of tips that you can implement before you go into games and during when you're going into games, when you're actually in the games, things that you can help and will help you win. So without further ado, going into the first one, it's probably a tip that you have heard a million times before. Build the best squad that you possibly can, but it is very true, and it's something that I have done. Now this is the squad that I'm currently rocking. Now before, if you're obviously someone who follows the channel and sees the players that we have in our team, we've now added Mohamed Salah for 337,000 coins and Heung-min Son for 300,000 coins, replaced Aubameyang and Bernardo Silva. Now I had about 900,000 coins just staring me in the face for the last week, and I thought, you know what, let me just go and buy two amazing players that are going to massively upgrade my team, that are going to give me a better chance to win and compete in every single game. Now, there's some games that I played last week against some equally skilled players as myself, but I was coming up against the likes of Son or Salah or a Messi or a Ronaldo or someone like that. And obviously, equal skill, but one player has better players, that player is going to win. So now I've given myself a better chance in every single game I go into because I've got a banging squad now. Obviously, Makaleli, we managed to pack as an untradeable out of a 50k pack, so that's just very lucky. But if you are someone that has plenty of spare coins left, I definitely recommend spending them. Make your team as good as it can be, even if you're a first owner, whatever sort of road to glory you're running. For me, I'm running a bit of a mixture of a first owner and just a normal RTG, but get the best possible squad you can that's going to help you to win in as many games as possible. Now, the second one might seem very basic again, but it's just to set up all your game plans. It's just to make sure you've got all scenarios covered. Now, for me, I don't actually use this that starting formation, that 4-3-3 variant, because it's just not one that I really use. But these are the four formations that I use. Now, I've got game plans set up for each formation. Now, I'm not going to go into detail in this video on the exact tactics. You don't necessarily need to use the exact formations that I'm using. It's just an example. You know, we have this 5-4-1 formation, which is our ultra defensive, hang on to a game at all costs. We've got our defensive formation, which is not defensive actually. The way we actually set it up, you can see it's very attacking. Our 5-2-1-2. You know, everybody's obviously very attacking. Fullbacks going forwards, midfielders and strikers. Just a very attacking formation. Now, this is my actual formation that I use. We've also got the 4-2-3-1, which is a formation that I change into once I go 2-0 up into a game. Just something a little bit more solid because we have the 5-back set up quite attacking. The 4-2-3-1 is a bit more defensive, and like I said, it's when we get that 2-0 lead. And then we've got a formation set for, you know, if we're 1-0, we need a goal right at the end, you know, last 10 minutes, or we've got, you know, 2-0 down with 15 minutes to go. So we have game plans set for defensive, you know, just our two formations you like to use, and our attacking, you know, need to get back into a game. So we have all situations and all scenarios covered. It's really important you have this, because you don't just want to stick with the same formation from minute 0 to minute 90, because if you know, that could easily cost you. You might be in the same scenario where you get caught out late on in a game, someone's pressing you, or, you know, you get pressed into a mistake, or whatever it may be, you're too defensive to maybe go and get that goal that you need to get. Someone's able to just pass it around their defense and waste time. You need to make sure you've got all scenarios covered. Now, the third thing is another one, but I don't actually see a lot of people talk about this one. It's to make sure you've got good impact subs, but make sure you've got all positions covered. Now, you can see again our bench. We've got a whole range of players on the bench, but we've got De Ligt, we've got Militao, who for me are the best two centre-backs that I think I own, that are going to help me to obviously, you know, whether that be see a game right at the end, maybe that go into that 5-4-1, need an extra defender, bring on a quick pacey defender. We've got Tonali, good midfielder, you know, some extra legs if we need some legs instead of Fabinho, someone a bit quicker, bring on Tonali. We've got a couple of cams in Depay and Fekir, so you want to take Vardy off, for example, or maybe you want to bring Pedro and Rafinha on, just a bit more pace up top. So we've got all of our substitutes on the bench are to cover all of the different positions that we may need within a game. So it's making sure that you've got some really good impact subs that can make a difference, because I play a lot of FIFA and I see a lot of people that do it against me as well. They bring on 1 or 2 subs and it can change a game massively. You can go from struggling in a game to absolutely cruising just by changing 1 or 2 things. So making sure you've got some good impact subs for all positions and all situations that suit your formations can definitely make a massive difference in winning and losing some games. Now, the next one is to make sure that you've got yourself set up some comfortable camera settings. Now, these are the ones that I use. I'm using Telebroadcast, and we are using 20 height and 0 zoom. I've been using these for about 3 or 4 years now, but making sure you've got some comfortable camera settings can be very, very useful. I see a lot of people obviously look for camera setting videos and things like that, but making sure you've got the right settings that maybe suit how you like to play. These are the ones that I find work exceptionally well. They give me a great balance, being able to see the team, and obviously being able to see where all my players are and just having that connection to the game. Whereas some people like to go over the cult camera, like to have the whole view of the pitch. Whatever you like, make sure you find some settings that are comfortable for you. And then I'd advise to not chop and change. Don't ever sort of chop and change tactics or formations, settings. Make sure you get on something and stick to it, because the more sort of comfortable you can be, the more you get to know that formation, the more you understand how it works, or settings, or whatever it may be, or camera settings. Making sure you stick to things and don't chop and change. Get some sort of consistency, and you'll definitely find more success in that regard. And then going back to the team, another really basic one again, but I've seen this quite a few times. I saw this last weekend. I played against a guy who had Mbappe, Son, Kante, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes. He had a really, really strong team, but he had zero chemistry styles on any of the players. They all had basics. I've come up against this quite a few times, surprisingly. You come up against some teams that have just full basic chem styles, and they've got no, or they've just got the complete wrong chem styles on their players. I came up against a guy last week as well who had Mbappe, but he had a shadow on him, which is kind of like, I don't understand that at all. But making sure you've got the right chem styles on all your players. You can see, like, for example, we've got Hakimi. We've got him with a Sentinel. He doesn't need more pace. He's got 95 pace. The difference between 95 pace and 99 is not noticeable to the eye. So you just may as well go for some extra defending and physical. Making sure you've got the sensible chemistry styles for your players. Making sure that you've got chemistry styles that suit the roles and positions they're going to play. Fabinho obviously is going to play in that defensive midfield role. So making sure he's got a bit more pace, because 67 is a bit slow. Obviously better defending. So making sure you've got the right chemistry styles for your players is obviously a no-brainer. So now obviously going into the gameplay. Now I didn't want to go into anything specific. For example, use skill moves, use tiki-taka, switch play, track runners, don't dive into defenders. I didn't want to go into absolute specifics, because there are so many things. I could list 50, 60, 70 things that you need to do, and I don't want to go into the absolute specifics of every single situation. So I did want to give you some general ones, because the more specific ones are probably more specific to certain individuals, and also it's more to do with you getting better as a player, not necessarily tips to help you in FUT Champions. So one of the first things that you need to do is more about mentality. So making sure you keep calm when you're going 1-0 down in any game. Now again, it comes down to mentality, because obviously I see a lot of people, and again, people do it against me. They go 1-0 down after 7 minutes, and then that's it. They go high press, team press, press on possession loss, and by minute 14, I'm 2-0. Their head's gone, it's game over, and I'm basically moving on to the next game. I've already won that game. So making sure that when you do go 1-0 down in any game, especially if it's early on, don't change anything. Don't do anything different. Just carry on playing exactly the same as you were. Imagine it's still 0-0, because at the end of the day, if you start getting frustrated, you then start forcing passes, you then start playing a bit more aggro, and then before you know it, it's 2-0, you start making some defensive errors, it's 3-0, and then the game's over. So making sure that when you do go 1-0 down in any game, because obviously it will happen at some point, make sure you just keep calm, don't change anything, don't rush into a different formation, just carry on playing the same. If it gets to 2-0, okay, now maybe you have to change something, maybe you have to change the formation, bring on a player, change to a different tactic, change something, but at 1-0 down, just keep your head, don't lose it, and just carry on playing the game as you were. Next top tip would be to don't panic in attacks. This again kind of rolls on from the first one. Is to just don't force the ball. Don't get kind of like, don't panic. The thing about FIFA 22, the more patient you are when you attack, the more successful you'll be as a player. Making sure that you're not rushing your attacks forwards, making sure you're not trying to force possession into your strikers, making sure you're not rushing forwards, often. Because a lot of people, some people, especially the higher up you get in the game, people have more defenders back. So the more you rush forwards, the less players you have. And then obviously it ends up becoming sort of 8 defenders versus maybe 2 or 3 attackers. You got to let your team come up at the same time. For me, as you can see, I play on slow build up quite a lot. So I've got to build the play up slowly. If I start pinging balls into my strikers and wingers, I'm not going to have any support. So making sure you don't panic in attack, be patient. Guys that have more patience and, lots of possession, good pass accuracy, generally tend to win more games. Yes, of course, people counter-attack, but the most successful way that I've found that works for me playing this game is to be patient in attack, patient in possession. Wait for the chances to come. Don't force attacks, and you will definitely find more success that way than just spamming through balls forwards. Yeah, it'll work the odd game here and there, but it's not going to work consistently. And then the last tip that I'd have for you in terms of gameplay would be to manage games like a real manager. So, for example, if you are 2-0 up in a game, as we've alluded to one of our formations, I go 2-0 up, let's say it's 60 minutes. You've got that choice to make. Do I go for that third and kill the game off, or do I kind of hang on to 2-0? Now, it doesn't mean go into that 5-4-1 formation and just sit back and defend and absorb pressure, but it means maybe I don't need to be as attacking. So I'm going to switch off that 5-2-1-2. I'm going to go into that 4-2-3-1, which is still an offensive formation. I've still got it set up offensively, but I'm not going to start, I'm not going to still be playing in that 5-2-1-2 attacking formation because I have the fullbacks going forward. So I'm going to be leaving space that I don't need to be leaving now. So I'm going to go into that 4-2-3-1, be a little bit more solid and manage the game properly. Or whether that be you're 75 minutes in, you're 2-0 up now, let me just hold that possession. He's got to come to me. He's got to now come and press. He's got to try and get 2 goals just to get back into the game. So making sure you manage the game. I see a lot of people, and I've done it myself. I've been guilty of myself. I've been 2-0 up in a game, late on in a game, and I'm still in that 5-2-1-2 formation. I'm still in my attacking formation, and I give up 2 cheap goals, goes to extra time, and maybe I lose on penalties. And I think if I'd have just managed that game properly, I'd have seen that game out. I should have won that game, and that's one more win. I've done that so many times. And it's probably, of all the tips, this is the one that I'd say is the most important. Make sure you manage the games, manage the situation. Or conversely, if you're 2-0 down in a game, 65 minutes to go, you got to think, would I rather lose this game 3-0 because I'm going on high press and I'm trying to win this game, or am I just going to stay on my 4-2-3-1 and just not try and get back into the game? So make sure you manage games and see out games that you need to see out. At the end of the day, if you want to win, if you're watching this video, you obviously want to win more games in FUT Champs, and these are the little smart things you have to do to make sure you win more games. So if you did enjoy this video today, make sure you do drop a thumbs up. If you did find any of these tips useful, do let me know down in the comment section down below. If you do need any more help, whether that be more specific help, also let me know down in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond to the ones that I can. Make sure you drop a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.